afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. We are coming at you live on YouTube and live on Facebook as we do each and every single week, talking about all things building on your land. So I'm Eric Alarid with Tilson Homes, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, joined by I am each and every single week, not this guy in the middle. We'll introduce him in a second. But Dawn Dantzler, Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience. Good afternoon, Dawn.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's beautiful weather. It is. What do we call this? Fake spring, fraudulent spring, something like that. Second winter. Anyway, so it's gorgeous. It's awesome. Got a little water we're dealing with in places, but overall it is absolutely gorgeous. But we are live as we are each and every single Tuesday, Tilson Tuesday, 2 o'clock, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Folks, jump into the chat. I'm going to introduce this guy in a second. Jump into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. We want to hear from you guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, drop us something in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. Maybe you're just thinking about this. Maybe you, got this idea that you want to be a little further away from people. And maybe you have this idea of this kind of independent lifestyle, 1.5 acres, 2 to 10 acres, and some quiet, slow country living, maybe a chicken or two to give you some eggs, given the prices, right? I mean, might be not be a bad idea. Or maybe you already started the process. Maybe you've decided which plan you're kind of, wanting to do, and you started this process with us. Maybe you've done your site evaluation. We'll talk a little bit about that today for sure. Or maybe you're under construction. Maybe you have made all those decisions and you've gotten through that part of the process, and you're just sitting there with your lawn chair watching the house unfold before you. And maybe you've already done all this. Maybe you've done that, and you can hear and just spit your wisdom on the people that are entering into this process, that are waiting in with some trepidation. Don't be worried. We're here to help. But I'm going to let Dawn tell us what we're talking about today, which will be why this guy is here. He didn't even need an introduction, but we're going to do it anyway because we do have some new people, Justin, believe it or not.
Yes.
So, folks, jump into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. While you're doing that, Dawn, tell us what we're talking about today.
So today we're doing kind of a spin on our Ask Us Anything. We're going to do Ask a Builder. So we brought the building expert in so that you guys can ask all of the construction questions that Eric and I are not as knowledgeable on. We brought in somebody who knows everything about the way that Tilson builds homes and is the be all end all of can we do this. So we're put all of your questions in the chat and ask Justin what you're curious about.
Ask hard questions. That's what we want. We want hard questions.
Yeah, we're going to play Stump the Builder.
Ooh,
great.
Ooh.
That's going to get a little more traction. All right, so I'm going to do a little introduction because he's a pretty humble guy and won't do this on his own behalf. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Justin Ordeneaux, our Senior Vice President of Construction for Tilson Homes. Justin comes with a wealth of construction knowledge. He didn't just show up one day out of college in a pickup truck and start building houses. He actually did this. He framed in high school and college, well, before that, but through college. So really knows from the business from the ground up, pun absolutely intended. And so he's walked top plates. He's fallen off of things, although not under Tilson's watch, of course, because that'd be a workers' comp claim, which we don't have that problem. But Justin knows construction. He's been a builder for not just us, but actually in the production subdivision world. So he can go through some of those differences as well. But I'll let him get into how long he's been doing this. But anyway, my friend, my brother in arms, Mr. Justin Ordeneaux, the Raging Cajun. Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you've been doing this at Tilson, and why do you do this? Why do you build houses?
Well, so I'm very fortunate. I found my passion at an early age, midstream through college. A little direction change there. So that landed me following my passion from jumping around on job sites and cleaning them up, running home runs for electricians and sometimes framing. And yes, there was only a couple of incidences of falling off a roof. So I appreciate the memory road there that we travel. But no, I've started with Tilson and I've been here. This is going on in my 19th year. I'm super excited about the opportunity. I enjoy agriculture. I enjoy small to large tracts of land and seeing something different every day on somebody's property. So this was a good conversion from the production world, which was a great place to get my feet underneath me as a builder. Fortunately, I've been able to remain here, and I don't know if it's just that I've gotten uglier and uglier over the years. So Eddie decided that I should just get out of the field because I was scaring people, but yet we put me on Facebook Lives. But regardless, I've been able to grow with Tilson. I took over the Gulf Coast, and then our predecessor, he decided it was time to go into retirement. So I was fortunate enough at that point to get the opportunity to take on construction and warranty, and most recently took back site evaluation. So we're working on some things there. So I'm excited to be here. This is a great opportunity for me to represent what we do day in and day out, and answer any questions people have.
So that's awesome. We, and we're grateful to have you. You're a great leader in our company, not just the construction team, but others as well. And so thanks for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule, trying to get people's homes built. So yeah, folks, do drop into the chat again where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process that you are in. We have a couple of questions teed up, or at least I do, that we're gonna ask Justin. But anything, obviously, if you got questions about any part of the process at all, design, financing, customization, floor plan changes, site preparation, which is a huge, huge, huge deal in on your lot building. The biggest differentiator, I would argue, versus production is developing the actual site individually. So ask those questions. There's a lot to learn about water wells and septic systems and utilities and culverts and construction drives and permits and all that kind of stuff. It's got to go into it. How do you get the lot level? What do we do about those situations? How do you design a foundation? And then obviously construction itself. You got any questions at all about how we put the houses together, why we do some of the methods that we do, spray foam versus bad insulation, tankless water heater versus conventional water heaters. All those questions are welcome here at all times, but especially today when we do have the wise one, Pandora's box himself of knowledge with all things construction, Justin Ordeneaux. So yeah, jump in, ask those questions, and then we got some that we're going to tee up. Dawn, who is joining us so far today?
All right, we've got Ed, who is joining us from Seattle. Hey, Ed, thanks for tuning in. We got Amy, who is in Bernie, just started the paperwork on our new Arlington. And she is sharing that she has 25 chickens and 2 pigs. So they are overachievers. And so if you guys are looking for eggs, go to Amy.
Now, Amy, I do have a question. How many eggs a day you getting right now? We're down to 6 chickens. We have this attrition issue at my house. The chickens are not high on the food chain pecking order, it seems. So I'm just curious, how many eggs, is that even a manageable number? If you got, anyways, I'm curious.
All right. And then we've got Tracy saying hi from Cibolo. Just got back from, I think, Richland Chambers. Yeah, Richland Chambers Reservoir, where the foundation of our Canyon A was poured. Yes. 4th time was the charm. Mother Nature finally gave us a break. Well, I was like, I don't think she meant RGR based in the area. Okay. I'm learning. We've got Denise. Good afternoon from Pearland, building a Canyon D in Chapel Hill, getting all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. Hopefully we'll be moved to construction in a few weeks. Awesome.
Denise, we were talking about Washington County just before in our pregame show.
Yes. All right. We've got Tim watching in Southern California. Thank you for tuning in, checking in from YouTube, Tim, for me. I was wondering if you guys were there. We got Neil watching from work, so don't tell. Loving their San Jacinto and Hood County. We got Taisha building the Marion in Victoria County. I got a closing date of April 18th. Awesome.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome.
All right. Amy says she is getting 16 eggs a day, and that she shares a lot with friends and family. So can we be friends? Can we be friends?
Yeah, because we get like 6 or 7 from 6 chickens. So I couldn't imagine a 25 chicken operation.
Faith is saying if you build on your lot, you can start your own chicken business. Meaning I just learned you can rent chickens for $500 a month, including the chicken house. Okay.
We are doing this all wrong. Faith, let's make this happen.
All right. We got Judy building with Colton in Bernie. And then we've got Brandon running in from Beaumont, just inherited vacant land here local and wanted what steps could I take for home building and can I use my land as a down payment, I guess, new to land and home ownership. Okay,
Dawn, how does that work? Let's start the questions off right now.
Okay. Well, if you inherited the land, we're going to want to make sure that you've got, is all the title and everything taken care of. Let's do that. But yeah, I mean, your best step's going to be to call one of our new home specialists and they can answer all of your preliminary questions, get you set up to come and visit us. As far as can you use that land as a down payment? Yes, absolutely. With our program, we have a very unique financing program here at Tilson in that we don't require you to have a construction loan. And all we're going to be looking at for that is looking for you to have 10% equity. So if you own that land outright that you've inherited, you can use that as that 10% equity. And yeah, there would be no down payment as long as it's 10% of what you're looking to build. So yeah, let's go. Let's do this thing. Then we've got Jason, who's building in Bandera. And Denise wants to know if you guys were talking about septic systems with Washington County. Ding, ding, ding. They got 2 bids, $7,000 and $1,600. So we went with the $1,600 bid.
Denise,
Okay.
They were talking about septic systems. I was talking about government overreach, to be fair. All clear on what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
2 bids, $7,000 and $1,600 for a complete septic system. Denise, are we connecting in possibly to an existing septic for $1,600? Because I'm not sure of anybody that's doing a septic system for $1,600, maybe $1,600.
I think what we're talking, Justin, is the delta between the septic by Tilson.
Oh, okay. 2
bids,
7.
So like she was doing a septic system by Tilson, and I think those 2 bids are the delta of what's already included in septic by Tilson versus 2 different ways we need to do it. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
I got
Okay.
you. All right.
Yeah. In addition to the original. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking. Yeah. I think they required a drip system, if I recall, because of the proximity to the property lines that Washington County has dreamed up.
Yeah, and Denise is confirming that that's the addition to the original quote.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being patient with us, and kudos to everyone out and got those other bids. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Brandon is confirming that yes, he has the deeds and everything is good. So let's go.
Beautiful.
We're gonna do this.
That's awesome.
We got Marissa. Hi from Midlothian. Do you do site evaluations before you sign a contract? Just curious if you know you may exceed the $10,000 allowance before actually entering into a contract.
And I'm going to mute and let Justin answer. There we go.
Oh, wow. Actually, we do allow a pre-site visit. So it's kind of up to the discretion of the salesperson. They generally will come in with a request. Certainly don't have a problem doing it. I would tell you that you're not necessarily going to know an exact cost because you still have other things that are going to come into play. Your engineering is going to be something that has to be factored into that allowance. Potentially the pad could be adjusted, but we could get you a pretty good estimate as to where we anticipate it coming in at. But I think until you finalize a lot of those things and really get the engineering back, are you able to clearly get the appropriate amount of cost? But
exactly, yeah. So Marissa, there are two numbers mainly that go into that component of that 10,000, and part of it is the dirt pad, which we could definitely get that, right, Justin? If the lot's cleared or underbrushed enough, we can shoot grades. We can get you a dirt pad bid. To his point, what we won't be able to ascertain completely is the engineer foundation design, because we can't do that without the geotechnical investigation. So I mean, that just, it costs money to do that. Like you have to pay a geotechnical engineer to go out there and take that soil sample, analyze it, and then design a foundation for it. So that part we won't have, but we can get you pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Jason is asking, can we pre-wire for under cabinet lights during the build without fixture? I want to install Philips Hue light for my husband's liquid collection later.
We got a bar going on. I like it.
Nice.
Yes, we can do this. Pre-wiring.
How would that work? What would they see at the end? Is it like a junction box? Is it a plate? What would we see?
I'm sure we could find a slim junction box that those wires would be tucked up in there, screwed underneath the side of the cabinet. You can't leave the wires exposed with just wire nuts or something like that. That wouldn't work. But we could find a sleek box of some kind mounted underneath the cabinet, and then we could just allow you to do whatever you choose. You remove the box and just put the wire. Most of your under cabinet lights are a direct wire. So we wire those that there's not junctions within the under cabinet light, because they won't have enough space for that junction. But we can come up with a remedy for that relatively easy. And we'd also want to coordinate our outlets, because those are mounted underneath the cabinets also, to keep them out of that backsplash. Nobody wants to see a ugly outlet in their backsplash if they can avoid it. So we could coordinate around that. It'd be a good thing to bring up during the planning stages.
Great advice.
Awesome.
These are great questions.
Yeah. Taisha is wondering if she can get the fridge, washer, and dryer installed before closing. Before closing, it could be pretty close to the end.
We generally want to make sure that somebody is home, which is why I advise those being installed after closing, because we're going to have folks in and out. You're possibly going to be there in and out, and there's not a lot of traffic after that walkthrough.
Yeah.
But ideally, you're hooking up a fridge and a washing machine. Those both have water coming in, and you turn that on. I'm going to suggest we turn them off, make it hooked up, but turn those water components off just in case. You never know, even though it's a new product, if there's somehow they didn't tighten it correctly, some kind of issue that would come about. We don't want those problems. You don't want those problems. And if you see it and you catch it early on, we can dry it up real quick. No harm, no foul. If that 3/8 inch hose is running or 1/2 inch hose is running for an hour, there's a lot of potential damage that can occur depending on what part of the room it is. But ideally, it's after closing for those reasons. But turning them off and having them hooked up, we can work that into the final part of the schedule.
And Taisha, I would also encourage that you because I think you can activate your homeowner's insurance anytime you want. Is that pretty close to the end? Is that right, Justin? And so then I wouldn't put that stuff in there until my homeowner's insurance was activated.
Okay. That makes sense.
Let me see if they can prorate it for like a week or two.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. And we've got a friend from Facebook asking, is the property owner responsible for providing the access drive? Our lot has open ditch at the right of way and will need a culvert. Can the property owner provide the access? In addition, am I correct that driveways are not within Tilson's scope?
We actually can do this. We offer services for this in various parts of the state. So our site evaluator, when he goes out there, he meets with you. He gets the vision of what you're trying to accomplish. And we're also going to represent what needs to happen from a development standpoint, if you will, to make it achievable to get on the site. As we talked to somebody earlier that was trying to get a slab poured in there. So we need to make sure we have good infrastructure to get into that area. But we do offer these as an option that you can. If it's kind of says we can do this on our own in this a little bit. And if you have somebody that's capable of putting that culvert and that construction drive in there, that's great. But I would strongly suggest meet with our guys. Let's make sure we're all on the same page and we can get you a bid for that and we can make sure that it's done and we own it at that point through construction.
Okay, makes sense. And then Judy wants us to know that she is using her husband's account. So if we see Jason, it's actually Judy.
Got it.
We'll know who the wallet's for.
And then Mark is saying, speaking of smart home options, I've seen an electric panel by Span that looks interesting. Do you support options like this in the build?
I'd like to take a look at it. You know, there's a lot of things. In fact, the International Builder Show is going on as we speak, and there's literally Las Vegas is flooded with everything from people selling home to code nerds and then all the lawyers. It's an amazing event up there, but there is a million products up there. And some of that stuff we look at and it comes down to distribution and how frequently it's used. But I really like when folks bring this stuff in, give us a chance to read the specifications, what we have to do to set up for it, not only from potentially an electrical standpoint, but also from a framing standpoint. We ended up in there, possibly not on an exterior wall, or there's certain specs that might be associated with it. So if you'll bring that in and give us a chance to take a look at it, I don't ever want to say no to something that's probably relatively easy.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and it looks like at least one of its features or benefits is that it can, well, features, I don't know if it's a benefit or not, but a feature is you can kind of monitor what appliance is using what, right? Yeah. So you put up on your phone and say, oh, my fridge is using 300 watts. My my Wi-Fi device is cooked. No, my kid's gaming PC is using 45 watts. Like that's one of the things that you can do. And then also it integrates, it looks like, with maybe, smart car chargers and that kind of stuff. It's got, it's energy saving insights. It doesn't look like anything. It's indoor. They have indoor and outdoor rated ones. So, I mean,
well, the other thing
what I would be curious about, Mark, is the breakers themselves, just making sure that it's something that's kind of easily acquired.
Not like a specialty product.
Right. Yeah. Is it compatible with like Square D or,
Well, I was going to
GE.
mention too, a lot of times we'll get that information, we'll run it past our contractor. He may have something that does the same thing. It's feature driven. It's something we can procure and warrant a little bit easier. So a lot of these things like this, it's, hey, this isn't bad, but here's an option that we have local, and it is sold in frequency. So that kind of helps also. So I think we take a look at it and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ed is asking, does Tilson assist with site prep, including water wells? Having never gone through any of this, I've started doing research regarding what is required into water wells. I also understand the Hill Country has been dealing with drought issues. I learned my property in Medina County sits over the Edwards Aquifer. Below that, the Glen Rose section of the Trinity. If Tilson does assist with wells, how can I mitigate a possible well issue? Sorry for the long question. Might not even be something you can answer.
Wells can be tricky because they should be logging their well depths whenever they drill, any driller. And so we can get some ideas around how deep that well will be. So that's just part of the well game. But we can procure well contractors, and we can get bids for that as well. That word just drives me insane. Well. But we can certainly get there. I think you're asking the right questions. And I think as far as the depth and the total cost on that, and if we're going to hit a dry hole, we have seen it, and it just could be that we have to go a little bit deeper in an area. And generally the well contractors in an area have a really good sense for what's going on in that area, and they might have some suggestions also. Those guys know things that are underneath dirt, 150 to 500 feet, that they just have good experience there. But yes, we can help you with the well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that the part that's unpredictable about it is what Justin just alluded to, which is the depth. You truly don't know until literally the day that they're out there, sometimes the day after, of when they stop. Like, we can get you a price up to a certain number of feet, let's say up to 300 to 350 feet or something like that, and then there'll be a price per foot beyond that. And basically, it's they go however deep they got to go to get good water at a decent pressure. Some other ways around that in the Hill Country, because I don't want you to think that, oh my gosh, there's like a ton of people in the Hill Country are using above ground tanks. Is that right, Justin? And so there are a lot of companies out there that can help us integrate an above ground tank, where when you do have the water that you need, or maybe it's a slower gallons per minute than you would need to sustain it just hooked directly to the house, but it's plenty of gallons per minute to fill a 2,000, 2,500, 6,000 gallon above ground tank. And then you put a continuous pressure pump on that to pressure your house. So there are lots and in a horrible drought situation, God forbid, you can pay to have a water truck come out and deliver water to that tank. So you're not out of water options in the Hill Country. There are options, even if it is a low gallon per minute well. So I don't want people to freak out like, oh, can't build the Hill Country anymore. Like, there's solutions.
There are solutions.
Okay.
As long as there's demand, there'll be solutions.
All right. Kelly's sharing she's building a Brazoria B in Como County. Has its forms up for cement soon. Big thanks to Cheyenne and McKinney.
Oh, cool.
And then she's also sharing on her well. In Como County, hers goes down to Upper Glen Rose, 660 feet down.
The best community of people on the planet, right here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. All right. And then Marissa is asking, curious if in the floor plans that only have 2 bathrooms available, is it possible to add a half bath? The Tampico is the one that comes to mind.
I guarantee you we can add a half bath in Tampico.
Yeah, I pulled it up. I'm looking at it. I would look to put it kind of in the study area.
Yeah, you can go in the study. I've done them in the utility room before with there's a way to do it on that close to the secondary bath. You have a garage coming in that way. Like there's I have played with the Marion and the Nottingham enough to we can get you a half bath. Our drafting department will have no problem getting you a half bath in that house.
And yeah, so that's good to know, Marissa, as you're looking at our plans. Just because you don't see that particular custom option already pre-designed doesn't mean we can't do it. We can do just about anything to our houses. So yeah, we can get in with your consultant and they can figure out the best place to put that half bath for you. And then Key is asking, at some point, can we work together to have the breaker sized and outfitted for a mobile generator, power transfer, and plug?
Yes, we can get the transfer switch, which I think is what we're trying to get here for the mobile
Well, he's looking at a
generator.
mobile one, which those
They're-
they're not going to push as much. So there is going to have to be some calculations done because you will not be able to run a whole lot on a portable generator.
They do make a breaker that will, there is a panel box that you can incorporate into the build that will only allow that generator to hit on those targets.
And that we would work together with you on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's
Yeah,
important?
we get with our electrician, see which brand he is using, and it's Square D, Eaton. So we could run through the list, but they all make similar options to achieve
Yeah,
that.
because the reality is, I mean, lights and plugs are nothing these days because it's LED. So it's really comes down to what major appliances do you want, and is it a big enough generator to run one AC system? Also understanding that, and you'll kind of get into the weeds on this, but the big number that's on the sticker on the side of the generator is not the continuous. That's not the continuous power that it provides. That's in a smaller number stamped on the side of it. That is at peak, like startup of it. So like when a compressor on an air conditioner or a compressor on a refrigerator comes on, it draws more power than it does when it's kind of running up on planes, in a weird way to say it. But startup is one. But anyway, there's if it says 8,000 on the side, it doesn't mean it will handle 8,000 watts of continuous power, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So put that in your calculation.
Okay. And what point in the process would we need to coordinate with them on that?
Design, like
Very
manual
beginning.
check, when we're signing the plans. It won't affect the plans themselves, but it will affect how we lay out the electrical, how we lay out the HVAC, that kind of stuff. Or at least need to know how many, what model and serial number of HVAC unit we're using, so we know how many watts and amps it's using.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So short answer, yes, we can absolutely work on that, but we need to do it soon, like early. Okay. All right. Angela's asking, the only concrete that's included in the 25,000 compliance is for the foundation, correct? If there's compliance money left over, can we use it to have you pour our driveway?
Okay, Angela, I don't know of where you're building, so it does vary from place to place. So I don't know that I don't have an area that I know that we include like an exact dollar number of concrete. We include like yardage per se and labor costs, but it's so I don't know if if that already is a driveway number. So I don't know of us doing an allowance that way. But I mean, short answer would be if you've included an allowance, if you, your salesperson, have included an allowance of any kind, anything you don't use can be used for almost anything. Not absolutely anything, but almost anything. So for example, yes, if let's say you did budget for a foundation upgrade of $25,000, $30,000 and it ended up costing 15 or 18, then theoretically, yes, you could use the balance towards a driveway at the end. What's important about that is that we need to know you want to do that before that work occurs. You can't have the driveway put in by somebody and then come to us for the money. That Texas mechanics lien laws won't allow for that. So it can be done. We just have to know, we have to allocate those funds before the work takes place. Shout out to Adam Ashman and Jennifer Justice. I said that we're all, it was February 25th.
It's recorded. It's recorded.
Boom, on record.
All right. We got someone saying howdy from Germany. Just getting started. Can you wire for a car charger in the garage?
Yes, we can wire for a car charger in the garage. Something, just a little tidbit as we're working through that. If it's all electric, we may need to bump up the size of the service also. So we might be going from a 200 to a 320 amp, depending on what else is driven by electricity in that home, what type of fuel source we're going with. But yes, we've actually put several of these in at this point.
And there are 120 volt and 240 volt chargers. So that's something else we need to know if you're looking for the supercharger that does it pretty quick, or just the overnight, 8-hour, the one that Justin uses for his GMC pickup.
Yes, for sure.
All right. We have Judy sharing that they are in IBS later this week doing purchasing. So her goal is to finish with options beforehand. If not, Colton's in trouble because she's going to come back with all kinds of ideas.
That's going to be rowdy.
Yep.
Yeah. Just stay out of the kitchen and bathroom show part of it, and you'll stay safer than, well, at least than I would, depending upon what you're into looking at, Judy. Just stay out of the kitchen and bathroom show, and you'll be all right.
And wear very comfortable shoes.
Yeah, I was going to say, do not wear
Yeah.
boots, but it might play in Colton's favor if she's wearing boots, because she might not be able to get around all the good things that they have up there. So, but yes, very comfortable shoes is important.
For sure. All right, we've got Janine saying, hey there, Tilson Cousins. I'm considering a property that has a seasonal pond. Can it be used as a stock pond that Eric will help me with?
Absolutely. If it'll hold water, we can put fish in it. Don't worry about that. And a good way to tell is if a telltale of any pond that has any life whatsoever, birds. If you see birds around the bank, there's critters in there. It may just be crawfish, or it could be fish, but yes, the answer is absolutely. And let's figure out a way to make it not so seasonal. We can line it with gypsum. There's some different things you can do to make it real hold water for a longer time. And get with our buddies at LOCHOW, LOCHOW. They're a good resource for that kind of advice. And probably not probably. They're certainly more qualified than I am, but it is one of my favorite pastimes is piddling with my pond. Justin does too. Don't look at me all judgmental.
I'm not judging.
He goes every day and feeds his fish in the evening.
I do.
It's the best conversations he has all day.
That's not true. I'm going to Facebook Live today.
Other than this one.
Facebook Live today. Long time.
Most enlightening for the audience anyway.
Yes.
All right. Denise is saying we will be adding a generator. Who do we talk to get the transfer switch installed?
Early on.
So they're by the way, just so you know, they're about to go to construction. She's the one that just got that septic stuff squared away in Washington County.
So let's get on top of that, because there is different transfer switches we'll need to consider. It needs to be between the meter and the actual panel for the home somehow. So depending on what structurally you've set up for the electrical, we need to start incorporating that into that design. There is some clearances that you have to maintain. So I'm not knowing the property, if it's a lot or an acreage deal, making sure we have appropriate clearances for the actual generator to be installed there, the fuel source, and make sure there's room for that. So yes, please, let's get in front of that.
Would it work, Justin? Here, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So
serious. God, he's serious.
Denise, if you know what brand you're using, it's going to be Generac or Kohler or one of those. If they know what brand they're going to use, if she came to the pre-construction meeting where your builder and the sales consultant's going to be there, would that be an okay time to say, hey, we're going to put in a standby generator right here for the house. It's this brand. It's this KW, this kilowatt, whatever, 26 KW, 23 KW, 24 KW. Would that be enough time for her to then go, we could get with our electrician, then she could get with the generator folks? Is that acceptable, or is it?
Yeah, well, and also the power company, and Eric's going to cringe when I say the power company is actually going to have some forms that you're going to need to fill out. They're going to come and see that if the meter's not already set up, and they're going to want a little information regarding it also. So just to give you a heads up on that.
When you said it.
Yes, Eric's cringing now because I'm bringing in utility companies, but we can incorporate that in. Generally speaking, the sooner we know anything, it allows us to guide you and make sure we execute that appropriately. So there is different generator companies out there, but again, I go back to whoever your generator company might be. I just recognized the other day, one of our HVAC companies started putting in Generac generators, and they've started taking on that business. So we might be able to have some options. We could incorporate the transfer switch into the build, that'll make your life cheaper than it will be doing it retro after the fact. So the transfer switch is something we could certainly manage and maybe turn you on to some companies that offer the brand of generator that you're interested in. Or maybe you'd be willing to look at the specs on a different generator and see if they would suit your needs and be something we could connect you with one of our contractors on.
Okay.
So sooner rather than later, please bring it up.
Okay. Ed is saying, thank you for the response regarding the water wells. The above ground water tank was not something I've researched yet. So thank you. Absolutely. We're here to help.
Very common in the hill country. Very common.
All right. We've got Alicia. Howdy from Germany. We're just getting started and watching your videos. It's giving us great information. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
So cool. We got Jason saying, hey guys. Hey Jason, good to see you.
What's up, Jason?
All right. And Angela, who was asking about the concrete allowance, she's in Blanco County, and we have a 24 by 26 garage. Have to have.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Excuse me. Sorry, we'll get with Colton and find out kind of what, and maybe with Fairland there and find out what we're going. Yeah, no, Oh, they're not under contract yet. Sorry, this is. Believe it or not, we have another Patchett that's building. Small world. Sorry about that.
All right. And then we have Zach asking, do you guys have an in-house draftsman, and do we sit down with drawing, designing, and what is the deposit amount?
Okay, so we do have in-house design and drafters, lots of them, in fact. Some are dedicated to just the 3D modeling, and some are dedicated to the 2D designing and drafting. But really, when you sit down, it's with your sales consultant in the actual sales office in the design center, and they do what's called a red line. So they sketch and red line the changes that are going to be made for you. They do have, we have parameters of what can be done with clearances around islands and hallways and that kind of stuff. And then ultimately, that will get, once we receive the deposit, which is $3,000, it's a non-refundable deposit. It is a weird way to say it. You get that money back at closing. So it is credited towards your closing cost. But it is non-refundable should you choose to not move forward with the build. And that's what goes to pay for a design and drafter to actually start sketching and drawing those plans up. Most of the time, what our salespeople can do, they know what can and can't be done. Occasionally, the designer will reach out to the salesperson, and sometimes they have done like a Teams call with the customer and say, "Hey, look, could we try this way, or have you thought about doing this, or are you opposed to this?" But that's very, very rare. That comes. Between the custom options that we have, and then the scaled drawings that we use and the experience of the salespeople, it's very rare that you have to sit down one-on-one with an actual design and drafter and do that. But in the event that we need to bring one in, we absolutely can.
Okay. All right. Jeff is asking, do y'all have a San Jacinto in a smaller square footage? So I'm not sure how small you're looking to go, but the San Jacinto does have a pre-designed 3-bedroom version. So that's going to bring you down to about 2,200 square feet, automatically going smaller. So I'm not sure how much smaller you want to go than that.
The Arlington wouldn't be a bad one to look at. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a smaller San Jacinto as well, with the all the bedrooms on one side, but still kind of split front to back. I think when we were there doing the grand opening, it harkened back to my San Jacinto days in spring. So
okay,
you're like, if you say so, whatever.
Sure. Well, to me, the what I think of with the San Jacinto is the symmetrical front. So it depends upon what Jeff likes about it. Let's see. Ed is saying, regarding the price points listed for each home plan on your site, are the price points only for the living space, or does it include porches, garages, etc.?
Take it away,
so
Dawn.
Ed, the pricing that you're going to see on the website, which is done by county, is for building the home as the floor plan comes. So whatever is included in the floor plan that you see before you start making changes, that is what that pricing is for. The range that you're seeing on that is for the difference in the various exterior options. So if you're seeing, it does include porches and garages if that's part of the base plan. If it's something that you're getting into our interactive floor plans and you're adding it on, those would come at an additional cost over those. But if you're seeing, if you're looking at a front exterior that already has a big porch, that porch that what you're seeing as it's designed out standard plan is what's included in that pricing. So hopefully that made sense. If not, I can try explaining it a different way. But all right, so we've got Lisa, who's using her husband's account over on YouTube.
No, she's not. She's using her son's, just so you know. It's the next thing.
Oh, okay, sorry. Anyway, Zach Mills is Lisa. That's all we need to know.
Gotcha, Lisa.
All right.
Main thing is we're dealing with the boss.
Yes. First question, would you recommend putting the well tank in the garage? And then the second question is, we have 3 large dogs wondering how vinyl flooring holds up.
Holds up great because they're outside. Just kidding. I'm an outside dog guy. Sorry.
Yeah. So the pressure tank, if we want to locate that in the garage, that's something we could do. I would strongly recommend you designate that area, maybe consider deepening that garage a little bit, because you don't want to accidentally bump it with a pickup truck or car, but we can accommodate the pressure tank being in
You don't
the-
want your son or your husband to. You would never do that, but your son or your husband could very well.
Yes. So, and the vinyl plank, Eric,
It does hold up. Yeah. So
Yeah,
as far as resiliency goes to flooring options, tile is going to be your most resilient. Porcelain or ceramic tile is going to be your most resilient. I would actually put probably one of the higher levels of vinyl plank shortly after that. Followed in the distant third or fourth place by stained concrete, because it does show wear patterns, it does show traffic patterns, and then engineered wood floors would be probably your least resilient to dog scratches. If they are large dogs and they do get to run it, you can tell your dog to be slow when they come in. They can't stand it. They gotta, they're excited to see you. And even well, Justin doesn't have a dog; he's got a different pet. But anyway, there are some levels of vinyl plank, and what it comes down to is the layer, how thick that top layer that the actual finish is. And so there are some higher level vinyl planks that will hold up just fine to dog traffic, but truly we have some porcelain tile products that look like wood floors that are going to be, bulletproof when it comes to critters and water.
All right, awesome. Jason is asking, how dry does the ground need to be before the foundation gets poured?
Go, Justin, go.
He's a wee bit impatient.
How long is this piece of string, Justin?
So the moisture being locked in right now, honestly, I can have an appreciation for this time of the year. So when you're pouring in really dry conditions, that creates you other things that we have to look out for. The good news is we have plenty of moisture content locked into that soil at this point. It's not so much that it's probably the moisture that's in that slab. If it's got water standing in the beam, that's obviously generally a no-go. There can be a little bit, but we don't want to be pushing a wave of water out of there. We do need to let it dry out some. So just depending on how extreme that is. A lot of times what we see is the getting in. So when we bring those 85,000 pound trucks, they're pumping water. So you got a nice crowned road, and on the side, there's a little bit of water there. When those trucks are running over it, it starts pushing that ground and starts vibrating. So the soil and the rock and everything goes down, and it's pulling that moisture up to the top. And then all of a sudden we'll find ourselves with a hole because that moisture starts to really jumble up the aggregate or whatever we've created out of. So more times than not, it's a problem with getting into the site and getting those trucks out of there.
So Jason, and I'll give you a little background. Justin, he just kind of went through this with his driveway he's in Angelina County up towards Lufkin.
Okay.
And so if you were to take this sounds a silly visual, but what Justin's saying, take a sponge and like squeeze the water out of it, and then take it and then just pinch one part of it, and you'll see water still happening. Okay. And that's the exact same situation with your ground. The first truck or two, maybe even three, may be able to get in and out, no problem. But what Justin said is after that, if you think about the idea of like a bulldozer versus or a skid steer versus a dump truck or a concrete truck, right? They weigh about the same, right? A loaded concrete truck weigh 60, 70, 80,000 pounds. Big bulldozer weighs, 40, 50,000 pounds. The difference is the bulldozer's weight is distributed across, a 24-inch or 30-inch wide track that's 11, 12 feet long. A dump truck or concrete truck has maybe 12 points of contact that are, about the size of my face.
Yeah.
The tires there. And so what's happening is all of that pounds of pressure is being pushed down, and dozers are designed to run in the mud, and trucks are not. And so the first 2, 3, 4 trucks have no problem. And then it's that fifth truck, that one gets stuck. And then you've got 7 other trucks lined up. And now you have a very serious problem on your hands.
Jason,
I would tell you, by the way.
I would tell you, Jason, too, that probably from a scheduling standpoint, from a builder, it's nerve-wracking. You probably have a pump truck more times than not. I rarely see us tailgating any longer. That's a thing that doesn't exist. Then you got to coordinate the concrete company, trying to get that pour done in the morning, generally speaking. And then you got the finishers. So the coordination around it. And then honestly, the ambition is to get that foundation set up, get all the beams dug, cables ran, and you want to pour just as absolutely quick as you can, because honestly, the little builder who's out there right now, he's rescheduling and trying to coordinate all these other ancillary activities because of the weather. And we do it all the time, but the ideal situation is set forms, foundation sand, plumbing ground, dig beams, roll cables, poly, and we pour with no separation in those schedules to get us to that position to pour. So I would bet you he is doing almost everything imaginable to try and get us in there. So hang in there. I promise you it'll be worth it with the right conditions, but you don't want a rodeo going on during your concrete pour at all.
No. Bring his last comment up, Dawn, if you don't mind, about the 3.5-foot bridge lift. I want to hear more about that. It's the second to newest comment.
I'm scrolling.
3.5
All right.
inch bridge lift.
So Jason built a 3.5-foot bridge lift with 10 inches of 5-inch rock on top of it. I hope it holds up.
That'll help.
It's as big as my dainty little hands, as Eric has referenced in the past.
This guy.
That is actually with that material there. That is a good base material. We will compact that free of charge. We don't charge anything for compaction as we roll our 85,000. You will be able to unload whatever furniture you choose. Septics will not have a problem getting in there. So that's a great material. I see that you're excited up here, Don. I'm skipping ahead to the next one.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the support. The last few years, the January, February months with the freeze and all of those things, it has just made scheduling a little squirrely. The beauty is we're going to enter into a period where we're framing and the temperatures won't be freezing, and those guys will they'll be able to get around. They're a little bit more limber and a little bit more apt to get up there and sling decking up on the roof and all those fun things. So it's a good time to get it done.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. And Janine wants to make sure it's clear that Justin is welcome to come play with the pond too. So
I'm in. You're nothing.
Let's go.
You're nothing to her now.
Quantity. Most fish in 30 minutes.
Yeah. You don't have the patience.
I will smoke you.
All right, we've got JP in Tarrant County. Our property is in a high lightning strike area. How do you feel about lightning rods since it would require penetrating the foam insulation?
There you go.
I've seen them put on homes. Again, it's something that we can incorporate. It would be penetrating, but you have penetrations in the foam regardless. So you're going to have vents that go through the roof for plumbing. I mean, there's just some things, and we're not talking about huge, massive things. I think coordinating with that contractor to figure out how they attach them to the roof. Is there additional blocking that needs to be done, which would be easier to do and strategically locate, and everybody knows where they're at, where those wires are going to channel through. But I'm sure we could put a plan around how to create.
And I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot.
But would that go to the same ground rod that we're already doing for the electrical service, or would it go to a different ground rod, do you think?
I don't want to profess to be an expert in this arena, but I have seen them where they actually have their own set of ground rods. I'm not familiar with them running back through the panel. They might be bonded back over there.
Protectors on the panels, though, right? In that, doesn't the code require aren't we putting surge protectors on the panels? Like they have a small surge.
There is surge protectors on the panels. If he's in a high lightning strike area, if there was a chimney or something associated on the house, it blows that out. So you're trying to attract it from hitting other aspects of the home, creating secondary damages beyond just the electrical devices that are in there.
Sure.
But we do put in a surge protected breaker in there. There's actually 2 ground rods on that panel. They're going to be approximately 6 foot apart. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that surge of electricity is going through. But we can. This is not difficult. Yeah, this is wire going back to the ground.
It is old technology. That's Ben Franklin style right there. I mean,
yes.
Get copper up here, take copper down the side, put copper in the ground. It's pretty simple.
Yes.
All right, awesome. All right, we get Stacy saying, I'm looking at building the San Jacinto and was on a different live, and you talked about the possibilities of something new with that floor plan soon. When will that be revealed? So it is with our drafting. Well, actually, it is with our cost estimating team at this point. So they are working through madly pricing out all of the different options and all of the counties that we build in. So as soon as they give me the green light, we are ready to go. So I am expecting it sometime April, May-ish is when we'll be launching the updated version of the San Jacinto. It is a plan called the Woodland. All right. And Marissa is saying, if you didn't want to fully do an alternate kitchen, are most of the kitchens able to accommodate one of the larger islands?
Most, yes, but definitely not all.
Mm-hmm.
But most, yes, could accommodate it with no modification. All of them can accommodate it with modification. So, and probably not as much as you might think you need. But it depends on how it's set up. The ones that are open from they go from the kitchen to family room, like left to right, side to side, those are the easiest ones. It's the ones where the kitchen kind of the bar top maybe goes back to the breakfast room kind of area or dining space. Those are a little, because you want to have room for table, chairs, and a traffic flow. So you can over island a house if you're not careful. So that's a great question.
Yep. All right. Angela's saying, we were told we cannot do a brick soldier course around the windows of a stucco section of the house. Just curious as to why.
So if you have
That's probably the most Justin question ever.
I'm glad he's here.
I'm trying to layer in the soldier course with the stucco with the.
Yeah, so your stucco is going to be approximately, let's call it an inch and a quarter, somewhere in there. That's how thick that veneer is. If you're talking about a full brick going around there, and there's not going to be enough to support it. So bricks are stacked, even though they're not structural, and they are a veneer, they're aesthetic, they're not holding the building up. Now, something I would challenge my team with a little bit here would be applying a thin veneer on top of the stucco so it has a brick appearance. So, Angela, I will have somebody throwing thin veneer brick at me from my team, but I'm going to challenge them a little bit to see if
which is way better than full brick, by the way. You're welcome.
Would the brick tile work for that?
I think for the look, you'll get some depth out of it. You're not going to get that of a full brick, but I don't really think that's where this would head anyhow. And Angela, I put my name on it. Tell them to call me, whoever the salesperson is, and I will wait from one of my 60 construction folks that are out there running around the state, maybe throw things at me. But I wondered if we could create an option here.
All right, awesome. And Amy is sharing, I think she's talking about her design appointment that she just got doing that on Monday, and that Colton made it easy and straightforward and helped her think of new ideas. But if I'm wrong and we're talking about Colton the builder, let me know. But I'm thinking,
okay.
I'm thinking we're talking about Colton, the sales consultant. But
I think so.
All right. Marjorie's saying, we built with you 5 years ago, but now we'd like to add a casita. Do you guys do that? Yes, we do. And then Alicia's asking, what is a rough estimate to add a garage?
It varies a lot, Alicia, by plan and by elevation. So, I mean, it could be anywhere from 0 because the garage is already incorporated as part of the plan. We have several of those, and then all the way, anywhere from probably $45,000 to $85,000, and depending on which plan, which elevation of that plan, what size garage, and then, but the good news is on all those custom options that you have, the design center sales team has that pricing and any just by square foot pricing that you would need. They have that squared away for your county, that house, and that specific elevation, because it does vary from county to county, house to house, elevation to elevation.
All right. And then Charlie is asking, the Johnson family's canyon was shared a couple days ago with the bonus room with a walkout covered balcony. What would a dupe of that whole floor plan run in Montgomery County?
I saw that. That balcony was really cool. That was a great looking canyon. I like the balcony. Well done.
I don't know all the changes. I have no idea. You have to
that's something I'm gonna say. Go give a call to the consultant, because that balcony was something that was custom designed. So we're gonna need to. It's gonna take us a little bit more research on that. So I would say call your sales consultant.
But yeah, your sales consultant could get with that sales consultant that sold it and the drafting team and get all that.
Yeah,
stuff
they can
together.
pull the exact plan and get that pricing for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a gorgeous home. All right, this is Yashika Fusler. We are torn between the Arlington and the San Jacinto. Yikes, is it possible to add an additional room outside of the bedroom 4 and the guest room, 6 rooms like the San Jacinto?
Yeah, you can, and I'm going to help you out here, but there's Fusillé. There's a little Cajun for you. You would just would appreciate. So, very French. So the answer is yes. And by the way, that means I'm not that far off when I said that Arlington could be like a big San Jacinto.
Yeah, someone else is there too. Yeah.
Right. So I'd say you can, Yashika, but you, by the time that's all said and done, you're going to spend probably that or more what you would spend on the San Jacinto. So maybe, are there components? Because I know the Arlington's a more current plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe there's some components about that you like that we can incorporate into the San Jacinto, because the San Jacinto has that more space to start with. But yeah, I mean, but when you start adding that much square footage on, you might end up, your sales consultant can price it out both ways, but I would bet you that the San Jacinto is going to come in at a little bit better price, depending on what features it is you like about the Arlington that we need to do to the San Jacinto. But the San Jacinto's got a big, massive kitchen that we can very easily do one of the big rectangular islands. It has 2 islands effectively right now. Mm-hmm. So there's not a whole lot that we can't do to that San Jacinto, honestly. So.
All right. And Judy is saying that it's actually her husband that's the problem at IBS. He is the woman in this home design part. He goes to IBS every year. Okay, so send him with shoes that are like a size too small, and that'll rein it in a little bit.
I know we can get some other shoes there. The Novi Home
they're
booth.
doing cool. Yeah, Novi Home's doing cool shoes this year.
Hook you up. I know a guy.
All right.
You wear your shoes out in the middle of the place, I can get you new ones.
All right. Troylyn is asking, hey guys, what's the price for the smaller San Jacinto in Fort Bend County? So 3-bedroom. So I think she's talking about the 3-bedroom version.
Oh, okay. That I don't have.
I can get it in a second. Hold on.
And guys, what we'll do is we'll kind of do a last call for questions. I know there's a few still there, so we gotta let people go do their things. Justin got to get back to work. He's been inside too long. He needs to go outside. You got to let him out of his kennel. So
all right.
These are great questions. Y'all keep asking them.
Yeah. All right. So I'm pulling the San Jacinto D, which is the model elevation. And in the unincorporated areas of Fort Bend County, if you went with a 3-bedroom version, you were looking at about $393,000 on that home. All right. And Jason says, absolutely compact that driveway away for him. He's tearing all of it out after it's built, unfortunately. Oh no.
Crushes my soul.
Yep.
All right. Zach's saying, I already have a site plan that was created by an engineer. Will you guys make a new site plan, or can you use mine?
We'll need to see it.
Yeah. I think the site plan, knowing how many things that could potentially mean to somebody, it's great that you've already got an idea and a concept around it. We would probably, just like our plans, we want to bring those into our system, because that information gets disseminated onto engineers, contractors, internal departments. So we'll certainly take it, because you've got a head start, so to speak. But we would take a look at it, see what we can glean from it and possibly utilize, throw it into our system and take it from there. So I thinking ahead.
Solid advice.
Yes.
Solid.
All right. And Angela says she's going to issue the challenge from Justin to the team that we're brick and stucco.
I appreciate the flexibility.
Amy says she was talking about Colton and Bernie because they were doing the red line appointment. So
Okay. Yeah.
Drawing everything up. All right. And Ms. Fusillé says that it's Creole.
Not Cajun. I'm very sorry. Creole.
Creole.
Good correction.
And she loves the kitchen in the front with the Arlington, and she's working with Arden. So not to throw a wrench into the system, but I was talking to our new home specialist about this morning. And with that, the kitchen in the front design, I'm going to tell you, take a look at the Abilene. It already is larger than the Arlington. So you might be able to get the space in there that you're looking for. Because in the Arlington, in our model, we're doing the bedroom 4 option. It's showing it as a study. The Abilene already comes with a study, so it's going to have that extra room, and then it has the bedroom 4 option. So that might get you closer if you want that kitchen arrangement, because Arden is fabulous and wonderful and can do a lot of things, but getting the kitchen to the front of the house in the San Jacinto is going to be a lot of work. So you might want to look at.
That's going to be a challenge.
Might want to look at the Abilene. All right, and Lisa is asking us, can you put the rear covered porch with cathedral ceiling on the Tampico?
Yes, it just needs to extend beyond where that master bedroom is. So as long as it extends beyond the master bedroom, the porch, we can do a cathedral ceiling onto a porch on the Tampico. Any house for that matter.
All right, awesome. And Jason is saying, thanks. As always, you guys are light years ahead of any other builder. Oh, thank you. You're so kind.
Makes you feel good, don't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
And then Marissa is asking, is there a cost to move the water heater out of the attic to a closet?
There is. I don't have the exact cost in front of me, but it's a couple $100, and that's mainly for, we have to put a door on it. We have to build a platform for it. So there's some framing involved, and also there's additional water lines, because everything that was terminating in the attic, which where the water lines are, now need to come down another 8-10 feet. So yeah, there is. That's the dollar cost, the labor materials cost. There's also a cost associated with the space you're giving up. So you need about a minimum, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least a 30-inch by 30-inch area to be able to put that, and then enough room for a door to swing open. And then you got, if it's a gas water heater, it has to have its own, air supply, combustible, fresh air intake, exhaust, combustible airspace, weather strip, door, all that kind of good stuff. So.
All right. And let's see. And then Lisa says, thank you for all your help this afternoon. I look forward to the next live. Oh, thank you. We'll see you then.
Of course. It will be a couple weeks.
Yes.
We're off the next 2 weeks. Is that right? Because we got you're traveling. We're both traveling next Tuesday.
We're both traveling next week, and then it's spring break.
Spring break.
Woohoo.
So, anyway, hey, thank all of you for doing it. Justin, thank you so much for doing this, man. Thanks for your wisdom. Oh, we got one more in under the radar. We'll let it come in. The garage door's closing, and she slid in.
All right. Stacy wants to know, is it required to have the cathedral ceiling in the living in order for it to have it on the patio? Like, I still would love the beams in the living without the cathedral in there.
You don't have to.
I mean, yeah, theoretically, yeah, you could have a flat ceiling in the family room and walk out and have a gable on the back end, right, of the house.
You'd have 2 valleys coming off the side, and you would actually have a peak of siding or veneer of some kind that goes up to it. But you do that.
It's possible.
All right.
Definitely doable. So anyway, thanks, Stacy. Great question. All right. So we're going to call it in. We're coming in for a landing. We thank you all for watching so much. We hope you got some out of it. Now, the journey doesn't end here, right? These are great questions. These are great resources, but we had a website open 24/7 that y'all can come to anytime you want to. We got new home specialists on standby that man that website. You can call them, you can text them, you can reach out to them, get high-level questions answered, get scheduled for an appointment. We got 12 design centers open 7 days a week with model homes to tour you through, show you all the color selections, what's included, what's available, anything you want to do to that house. They're there to talk to you guys. We got an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page, as you all know. We have a YouTube channel that has hundreds of videos just like this and more for your binging pleasure. We want to have you go there, and the whole point is to familiarize you with this process and to increase that familiarity and understand what the process is all about. It's not that scary. Listen to Jason. He knows what he's talking about. So we got very competent people throughout the organization, like Justin and Dawn, and then we have the rest of us, like me, that are here to help in any way that we can. We can change flat tires. We can change batteries out and things like that. So, no, folks, we genuinely hope that you get something out of this and that we hear from you soon, and we hope to soon make you part of the Tilson family. We will see all y'all later.
Bye, everybody.
Thank y'all.